HR can't stop politics from entering the workplace, but it can stop politics from becoming a management failure.
Whether you buy the person's ideology or not, you still owe them the respect of being a coworker and being a fellow professional.
This is something that should be ground zero for companies. How are we communicating with each other? How are we being respectful? HR can support that.
The remit for HR leadership, for HR teams, HR staff is be the calm at the center of the storm.
Welcome to Primal HR. Real people, real talk, real HR. The human side of work from the people who live it every day. Here are your hosts, longtime HR leader Terry Smith and People First strategist Leslie Lulham.
Hello again, and welcome to Season 2 of Primal HR Podcast. Leslie and I are thrilled to be back again in your ear, and wherever you get your podcasts, we're looking forward to a great set of sessions coming forward.
So today we want to talk about navigating the political climate in the workplace. What we're seeing right now is a lot of fear happening, regardless of what your political stance may be. I think we can all agree that the news is scary. What we're seeing on social media is scary, and we're being inundated with this type of thing on the daily. So what can we do as HR professionals to ensure the workplace stays productive and safe? I think to kick us off, HR can't stop politics from entering the workplace, but it can stop politics from becoming a management failure. Regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, it is up to us as HR and company leadership to maintain a safe and productive work environment. And as Terry and I were discussing this, leading up to this podcast, we were really thinking about, I was thinking about, I don't want to speak for Terry, he's got a lot to say too, about how helpful the workplace has been to me just in navigating life's ups and downs and twists and turns. And that got me thinking about how you manage grief. And a lot of companies have bereavement policies, maybe they don't. But in my experience and myself personally, coming into the office in a period of grief was very beneficial for me. It was a place I could come that was stable. I knew what to expect. It made the days easier. And so that got me thinking about the workplace as it relates to the political climate and how those two things overlap.
Right. And there's absolutely no question that this is a very strange and polarized time in our history and our culture. And it affects everybody in any kind of work environment that there is. It affects us as HR people. It affects our executive leadership in whatever company we're in. We're all human, and we all have beliefs, and we all have values, and we all have ways of looking at the world. And we also know that there are a lot of very diametrically opposed points of view out there. And so what becomes necessary for us to do as HR people is to provide a level of calm, if you will, of safety and a sense of security. And really it starts with policies that will ensure a level of safety and a level of respect and understanding. And that really comes, once that work is in place, it really becomes part of how we start by even with onboarding our people, that our understanding of the political framework and our intentional approach to being a safe haven for people to bring their professional skills, bring their capabilities, and not get into that kind of thing. It's inevitable that people are going to have conversations. It's inevitable that people are going to have differences of opinion. We can't stop that. But what we can do is we can provide an environment where people can feel like they are able to speak about what they believe and what they think, as long as they do so in a way that respects the other people in the organization and that our leaders also support.
This really comes down to company culture in a lot of ways. I think, expectation setting early. This is something that should be ground zero for companies? How are we communicating with each other? How are we being respectful? HR can support that by not just modeling the behavior ourselves, but strongly encouraging our leadership layer to also exemplify how we expect communication to happen in a corporate setting. But we can build policies and procedures around that. We can define what is respectful communication, anti-harassment, that's huge. What is appropriate use of company channels? I'm sure we have all seen the wild rant on Slack at some point.
At some point.
Don't get me wrong, I want to grab my popcorn, but then my HR brain is like, okay, we got to jump on this.
Yes.
So, hey, we're people too. And then focusing on behavior versus ideology, I think is huge. When should HR intervene, right? What is a respectful conversation? When does it broach disrespectful? So base it on disruption, intimidation, threats. We don't want that happening in the workplace. Misuse of resources, not because somebody holds a particular view. The workplace, I mean, there are inherently political organizations, and I think that's a whole different ball game to what we're talking about. But generally speaking, workplaces are the Switzerland of it. They're neutral. We want to be a place where people can come and just work.
Well, and the reality of it is that we come to work to do a certain set of things in support and pursuit of a certain set of goals and objectives by whatever organization that we're working for. And behavior that distracts or deteriorates that process is fundamentally unproductive, but it's also carries with it a number of various kinds of risks. And our job is to help the organization come to terms with how to address those issues and how to provide a framework so that if it does cross that line, whatever that line winds up looking like in your organization or mine, that we have not only a clear guideline of when that occurs, but we also have a policy and practice in place for how we address and deal with that. Because we want to be proactive, we want to be conscious of how people think and believe and feel, and we want to respect that. But we also want the organization to understand that if it goes beyond those guidelines, that we have a methodology that we use to address it.
And I think a big piece of that, as you were saying that, just got me thinking about safety and trust. And as HR people, especially, and managers, you get employee complaints, issues, good things, bad things, and everything in between coming to you. And if you aren't addressing them, if you're not acknowledging them and helping to work through the situation, not every report requires HR to step in. But my ethos, and I know Terry's ethos is creating a safe space for employees to come and share with me what's happening. So that means being open, being non-judgmental when people come in, and giving them the space to share, because if you don't give them the space to share, or you don't regularly follow up on what they're asking, or even check in with them after something happens, hey, how's this situation going? Is it improving? Is it not? Why would anyone come back to you to share what's going on? And so the people first approach, you will hear Terry and I saying that all day, every day. We are people first HR people. That was redundant. That's, I think, step one. We can make policies until we're blue in the face. And trust me, we do.
Yes, we have.
We have so many. But a policy is a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Who's behind that piece of paper showing that this is trustworthy, that we follow through with what we're going to say on, and that we care about you here in the workplace? Come talk to us. I told people, I'm like, hey, if you just need to vent at me. I don't care. If you need a place to be happy, sad, cry, yell, I'm here for it all.
That's exactly right. And we have an obligation to this community to be that kind of support system and buffer system. Now, challenging thing, particularly in this hyper-polarized political world that we live in, is that we as human beings who happen to have this role, we have our opinions too, and we have our beliefs, and we have the things that matter to us. And there are times when you simply have to check those at the door, because no matter what, whether you buy the person's ideology or not, you still owe them the respect of being a coworker and being a fellow professional. And that oftentimes trips us up. We have natural tendencies as human beings to respond. And we have to be very conscious as HR leaders. And we also have to be conscious of coaching our executive leaders the same thing. We have to be the ones who are the eye of the storm. The storm around us is what it is. But what we can add, what we can provide and bring to our organizations is that calm at the center of the storm. As HR people, as coaches of our executive leaders, as coaches of our managers, we want to be able to help you be the calm at the center of the storm.
I want to call out something really quick without making it political, because we are seeing this happen in the news. There are things that are protected classes right now that have become inherently political, whether you agree to it or agree with it. I want to say out loud, racism is not tolerated in the workplace. Sexism is not tolerated in the workplace. Differing religious ideals.
Religious persecution, not okay.
You can't have different religions in an office setting, and that is okay.
Yeah.
And encouraged. You know what? Let's do it. Ageism. What else am I forgetting? Discrimination based on sexual orientation.
Yeah. Gender identity.
All of these are all protected classes, and they will be protected in the workplace because it's the law.
And it's the right thing to do.
Also that.
In all seriousness, I think the remit for HR leadership, for HR teams, HR staff, is be the calm at the center of the storm. That can take on a lot of manifestations because storms are different, in every organization. But fundamentally, being that balance, being the go-to place when all else fails, right? When everybody else is struggling with this, we should, this is the call to action, we should be that calm at the eye of the storm. And that can manifest in many, many different ways. And by the way, we're both happy to connect with you directly and talk about how you can apply that in your own organization. We'd love to have that conversation. But fundamentally, we really want you to understand that being that voice of reason is so crucial.
And leadership needs to be doing the same. It can't just be HR picking up this torch and carrying it.
Correct.
It has to be a group effort.
Well, back to the example that I said many episodes ago, when the CEO says, HR owns culture, I stop the CEO and say, no, actually, you own the culture. We're here to be the stewards of the culture, but you fundamentally own it because you're the boss, and the buck stops at your desk. And it's remarkable how many CEOs, COOs, C-whatevers get lost in that conversation. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to keep coming back to that. And if you are a C-suite person of any kind, be ready.
Be ready. Terry's coming for you.
Got a topic idea or want to be a guest? Come find us. hello@primalhrpodcast.com.
Show notes, links, and resources are at primalhrpodcast.com.
Next up on Primal HR Podcast, we will talk about networking again because it's an important topic, it's an interesting topic, and oddly enough, it can be a fun topic.
We're very excited to dive deeper into the wonderful world of networking. After our previous episode on it, we got a lot of feedback on how helpful it was. So next up, Terry and I are going to dive deeper into the wonderful world of networking, which is very near and dear to my heart.
You've been listening to Primal HR. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Join the conversation on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at Primal HR Podcast. Show notes and more at primalhrpodcast.com. Got a topic or want to join us on the show? Reach out. Our email is hello@primalhrpodcast.com. We'll see you next time.